can hear you.
Brook Lopez. When they've got those other three outstanding scorers, do you see Brook as a guy who can kind of be an X factor or a wild card, both with his rim protection at one end and his 3-point shooting at the other end?
Definitely. He could, I think he could be one of the wild cards. I think that of all the complementary players on both sides, there's potential there for somebody to kind of, have a huge impact on the series, not necessarily unexpectedly, but a bigger impact than you thought. And so, Brook's one of those guys that definitely, can do different things on the floor to have an impact.
Malik Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Steve, I have two for you. One, is there any update on Jeff and how he's doing, what he's able to do?
Yeah, really just monitoring it. We'll see. We'll keep monitoring it day to day and see if he's ready to go. He's definitely progressing, but we can't commit either way yet if he's available or not available for Saturday.
Okay. And then secondly, thinking back to the Bucks 2 years ago when they played Toronto, when it was still sort of a new group coming in together, they kind of talked a lot about how, we're going to overcome, it doesn't really matter, the lack of experience we have. That's not something that's neither here nor there. I'm wondering for you guys have sort of ran towards it. Like, no, we need to talk about the fact that we don't have this experience. Why is that the approach that you felt was important to look at head on?
Yeah, it just feels authentic. I don't know. That is our reality. We're trying to put the pieces together on the fly, and that's our challenge. I think it's normal to ask those questions, and I think it's honest and authentic to answer it. That is true, and we accept that, and that's okay. So we don't hide from it. We accept it, and it's not an excuse. We're not sitting here trying to have a built-in excuse either. I don't want any excuses for our staff, for our players, for anyone. That is the gap that our team is fighting against. Every team has their gap, has their deficiency or growth areas that they need, and that is the primary one for us.
Ryan Rucco, Yes Network.
Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering, I know that competition is part of what drew you back in to take this job, but you went through a very unique season. Obviously, no crowds, pandemic circumstances. I'm wondering now, experiencing playoff competition, having the crowds back, how has this thus far sort of compared to what you would have expected or hoped for diving back in to this gig?
Yeah, it's great. It's not easy to answer because sometimes everything blends in. So it's almost like I don't remember where we started and where we are now, in comparison. I think largely I expected it to be similar. The whole COVID protocols and pandemic stuff has definitely made it kind of a wild season in many respects, not just the experience, but all the things that were thrown at us. But playing in front of fans in the playoffs has been unbelievable and exciting and, makes everything worthwhile. And, definitely is, this is, in many respects, why I wanted to do this and to be a part of this team and franchise and build something here and compete at this level. So, to have fans back in the building has been a great reward, I think, for everybody, and especially at this time of year. When it's it means the most, and everyone's playing for something and playing, for all the. Reward, so to speak. It's so nice that we have energy and fans and that environment back again that I think we all feel home in and also, long for, and especially during this absence. But even in a normal year, you can't wait for the level of the environment to raise when the playoffs come around.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Steve. Milwaukee obviously had their big three, their all-stars for all three of those games where you played them. You didn't have your big three together for any of them. I guess it's now questionable whether you will or will not have Jeff. How much can you take from those games that's applicable to Saturday? Or do you really almost have to have a clean slate in game planning and then see what happens and then game one adjust to their adjustments and so forth?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we'll try to take as much as we can from those games. We'll see afterwards how much of it was applicable or not. So I don't know if I can give you a good answer, but I think all we do have is to try to glean what we can from those 2 games, those 3 games, learn from them, project ahead of what may come or how it may go and how it unfolds. But I still think there's value in those games, even if we never had our full complement. So we'll try to prepare the best we can and project the best we can what it will look and feel like with more of our roster available. But at the same time, we have to be ready to adjust to and make that kind of have that versatility going forward, because it may not present itself exactly the way it did in the regular season. And each of those games, in a sense, well, I'd say the 2 there were similar, but the first game against them, you can almost throw that one out because it was so long ago now.
Jeff Zilgett, USA Today.
Hey, Steve. James didn't get a ton of time during the final 6 weeks of the regular season. He's thrown into the playoffs. What did you make of his performance, how he wove himself back into the lineup, and what impressed you most about what he did?
I thought he was great. Played at an extremely high level, took another jump from kind of that injured to rehab to return to play to playing at the highest level. He did it, really well. So I was really impressed not only with the level of play, but how he was able to do it in a short period of time. I would have, almost expected it to take a little longer for him to reach the levels he reached early in the series. And, it's a testament to how good he is, how talented he is, how much he wants it.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Hey, Steve. How much does the approach to defending Giannis change between, personnel, whether Blake's on the floor and Nick is on the floor? And if it is different, how much is showing them some different looks important to the strategy?
Yeah, I think each player is going to be slightly different in their individual approach, but I think the strategy we'll probably start with is similar from a team defending standpoint. So, it's also the type of thing that I think we have to work our way through as the series goes on and, become, have a better feel for it, have a more and more of an understanding collectively, and also be able to adapt and adjust within our schemes, not just to change our schemes. So, there's a lot of layers to it, but I think there is some slight individual adjustments depending on the matchup, and then but the team concepts will be the same regardless.
Ryan Dunleavy with the New York Post.
Steve, what did you think of Blake's performance in the first series? It seemed like he gave you guys so much more than maybe most expected during the regular season, and then box score wise, doesn't seem like he had a big impact against the Celtics. Maybe you saw more than that.
Yeah, it's a tough series for Blake because they're switching everything. So when they're switching all that stuff, we're going to isolate, with our big 3, and that leaves him largely, spacing the floor, and they weren't coming off him. So, they kind of, in a sense, took him out of the series. So I don't judge too much. I don't say, well, Blake had a poor series. I say that series wasn't set up for Blake to fill the box score. So, he's been a great soldier. He's brought intelligence, experience, skill to our team. And it wasn't a series that he could have as big an impact as maybe we predicted or the indicators were going into the series. But, he's just been so great at accepting kind of a role where he's complementary. He fills the gaps. He uses, like I said, his intelligence and experience to plug holes for us and to improve the team in whatever way is needed. So, that energy and spirit of trying to give the team what it needs has been great from Blake. And, we know and trust that he'll do that again.
Last question, Brian Mahoney with AP.
Hey, Steve, just when you look at these 2 teams, I know this can't be predicted, of course, but, with the individual talent and the closeness of the matchups during the regular season, do you think we could be looking at something that could be a classic series here, something very, very, riveting to watch for how many games it goes?
It could be, who knows, at this point, but there's no question that potential's there. We'll see how it plays out, but they're playing as well as any team in the league right now. We have the talent match any team in the league, and it's just a matter of who performs, who has that grit and toughness to try to get ahead in the series, and then see how the other team responds. So, but definitely the on paper you could see this being a classic series, but let's see who brings it and who has the the rhythm and timing and performances that are sharper.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.